So, ladies and gentlemen, the conference continues. We are going to be going to panel 2. And after this panel 2, we have the award section that is going to be holding on. My presentation, first and foremost, is going to be coming from Homework Development Company. And I want to believe that they are ready for me. They are going to be speaking on experimental, focused on an experimental presentation, especially from the Homework Development Company. And then I'd like to welcome Mr. Chima Meriwa. Mr. Chima, please.
Hello everyone, good afternoon. My name is Chima Meriwa, and I'm here to do a very brief presentation on experiential, rather a brief experiential presentation on development in architecture. So with permission, I'll share my screen now. Is that okay?
You can share your screen, yeah. The technical guys will give you the access. Please go ahead.
All right. Sorry, hold on. Okay, are we together? Can you see my screen, please?
Yes, we can see your screen. Yes, yes.
Okay, all right, yes. Okay, all right. So, like I said earlier, my name is Chima Meriwa, Director of Homework Developments and Properties. That's my email address and Instagram handle. Okay, so just to briefly introduce my company, Homework, we've been in existence since 2008. I mean, this is just Homework in figures. We have 126 developments under construction, 105 completed, a start rate of 22. Units starting soon, you have 257, and a success rate we like to see of 100%. All right, so just to take you briefly through a sample of our completed projects. The very first one that I'll talk about is most recently handed over development in Lekki Phase 1. It's off Admiralty. If you know where Evan and Lily and CBC Towers is around the axis. It's a gated development that has 10 terraces of 4 bedrooms each. This was the design. The architecture was supposed to speak to the young contemporary Urbane with he had bold masses, and it was supposed to have a contemporary touch, and we like to think that we achieved our set goal. This is finished. Like I said, finished and handed over, fully completed. This is the night view of one of the buildings. So it's two buildings, each containing 5 terraces, and so this is a building that has five of the units. This is a view from the swimming pool. It features a swimming pool and a gym. This is the view of the driveway with the 2 buildings in the middle. Then the next one I want to talk about would be development in Elegushi. We have 12 units in Elegushi, 3 bedroom and 4 bedroom. Let me take a brief minute to tell you about Homework, a little bit more about Homework. Now, we are developers, but primarily we are architects. We are trained architects. So our foray into development is one of 2 things. One, first of all, to showcase our architecture. Secondly, what better way to change the skyline than design and do your own development yourself versus having to, versus the typical developer. And I say this with a lot of respect to my developer colleagues, but lots of them, there is a chain between them and the architect. So, so they have to say, I want this and this does that, so there is that room for a breakdown in communication / misunderstanding. But in our case, everything is seamless because we are the all in all in this matter, in that we do the architecture and the development. So we know exactly what we set out to achieve from the get-go, and we get that done. So so back to Roland Court Elegushi, 12 units of 3 bed and 4 bed. The design is it's something you have to go into it to understand exactly how the 3 bed and 4 bed interact. So like I said, it's fully well, as at this stage it was about 80% completed. We just remained to put some fenestrations and the flooring and some painting. This is part of the interior. So like I said earlier, because we are architects, we like to pay a lot of attention to every single space, no matter how seemingly innocuous it is. Here, this is the working closet, and the working closet got this treatment. How much more the living room or the kitchen or any of the other main living spaces. This is a view of the approach and a shared wall. Topiary, basically just potted plants, but it's a hanging topiary to just give it a green touch basically. And this is in addition to the garden that we have on the interior. This is the master bedroom bathroom. Try to make it as opulent as possible. In this case, this particular client, this is what he requested, because we like to engage with the buyers one-on-one, such that even after you buy, we because like I said, we are architects, so we meet with you and ask if you want to have any particular customization to your design, because we don't want the average buyer to just think he's buying a developed house. Basically, a house that's developed that was just built with anybody in mind. We want him to feel like he's actually buying his own home. So with that in mind, when we arrange for one-on-one interactive sessions with all of our subscribers, and we work with them, try to redo the interiors to match their particular taste. But all of this, of course, is a function of how early the buyer comes on board. This is an overview of the living room. One of our units where we were also doing the interiors. It's yet incomplete. I'll share the completed version. And then this is the hardscape during construction, and this just shows how we try to play with different materials and different coloring just to get different textures, so that it breaks the monotony of the typical landscape where you just seeing interlocking stones everywhere. There is a bird's eye view of this coming up shortly. Okay, and then I'll just run you through some of our projects in progress. Basically projects that we have under construction, and some in view. The first one that I'll talk about now, this is fresh off the kitchen, so to speak. It's a development in Banana Island. We like to think of it as the twins. They are not two identical units, but then some twins are not all identical. So anyway, so these are two twin fully detached duplexes, waterfront Banana Island. This kind of shows the view of what it looks like from the water. So now when designing this, our aim wasn't just to provide houses with a view of the water, because the typical person who's building waterfronts, what they want is what they think of is what basically it's almost like they think all they have to do is just provide and just so that the occupants of the house can see the pool, or rather can see the water. But that was part of our aim, but that wasn't our total aim. We also wanted to make the house itself a showpiece, a masterpiece, such that anybody who's even by any reason, maybe on a boat or something, is passing the water, will stop and will turn. So we try to make the house an architectural masterpiece, both from inside the development and from the water. We like to think we achieved that to an extent. This view shows the family space where there's an infinity pool at the back. It's a communal space, and this overlooks the water. So what we try to do was try to have some kind of continuity of elements where the water goes on and it gives this illusory effect via the infinity pool, and you feel like it's flowing directly into the water when you're in the pool or when your eye level is reduced. This is the view of the water from the back of one of the units. Obviously, we intend to build a house that's supposed to be more than a house but a home, a place of peace, a place of serenity, a place of rest, and that's what we try to capture in this. Now, this is the second unit of the twins. As you can see, we still have the same continuity of elements. On the building itself, we have a waterfall that flows into a pool, that flows into the swimming pool, and that in turn similarly flows into the water. This is an overview, just showing that basically like I said earlier on, we intend to make the house a showpiece from any angle you look at it. It's more than just putting glass and having glass overlooking the water. We thought about things like shading, for instance. So we have some fenestrations that might seem to just be put on for fancy, but the angle of elevation of the sun was calculated and was designed for. So the azimuth and the azimuth of the without getting too technical, the incident angle of the sun rays were all factored in and calculated for and estimated for, which is why we have some fenestration and some sun shading devices that you will see in the facade. Then this brings me to another of our developments that is ongoing right now in Banana Island. We call it the Spades. Right now, it's made of two parts. There's a four units of 4-bedroom terraces and 2 units of fully detached 5 bedrooms. Right now, they are at 60% completion. It's also waterfront. What we have, so here we can see the 2 fully detached units facing themselves, and this is the view as seen from the waterfront. It also features a swimming pool, a gym. Each of these units have their own dedicated pools. Then we have a general pool for the 4 terraces and a gym and ample parking. We've provided for parking of 4 cars per unit, and this sits on a total land mass of 2,700 square meters. The next one I want to talk about is it's a development that I actually really like this design. You know how you're not supposed to have a favorite design, but I like this because of some elements that we're introducing, and I'll talk about that as we go on. So this is Aquila. It's in Oniru, just on Palace Road, at the beginning of Palace Road. It's 8 units of maisonettes. And each is 4 bedroom. He has a rooftop terrace, he has a communal space, a swimming pool, and a gym. This is under construction right now. We are at the piling level, but such is the interest in it that we are about 80% subscribed, and it seems like there will be a tendency for us to get oversubscribed on this, or rather, it seems like we'll have more people. So we are apparently working on a part 2 of Aquila. But what we have here, these are the interiors. So again, because we know we kind of have a target market for every development. So for this, what we want is someone who likes the niceties of life, and our ideal subscriber for this is a well-traveled person who is an urban contemporary professional who would appreciate or rather who craves for interior spaces that look bigger on the inside. So even our design, we feature a lot of double volumes, and because these are the things that create that psychological illusion of space when you enter a space, and it looks grander than the physical size will indicate. So this is the part. So this is for the spillover on the same Palace Road, and this incidentally is gaining some traction too, because we're about so this one has 8 units, 8 maisonettes, and 2 pent units, and we are about I would say that's about 10 units. So we are about 30% fully subscribed on this one, and so this is just starting. So this is the facade of the other one. We worked closely with the early bird subscribers on this one, such that a lot of their input to an extent is what dictated the internal spaces. The next one I'll talk about is an apartment complex in Ebute Metta. So now we realize that a lot of people, as much as they like the island, some people had a taste, or rather had a real estate appetite for the mainland, and what we just kept on hearing was nothing on the mainland, nothing on the mainland. Now we have something on the mainland. So these are 17 apartments. They are 1 bed, 2 beds, and 3 beds. And when you hear 17, you might initially get scared, but this development is flanked by 2 roads. So it's accessible by 2 parallel roads. So what we have is we have the 1 beds and 2 beds accessible from one road, and we have the 3 beds from the other road. So this essentially creates a division between the 1 bed and 2 beds and the 3 beds. This is important in real estate because the lifestyle of a 3-bed apartment residence is very different from the lifestyle of a 1-bed apartment residence. Talking about when they will come back home, when they will even ambient noise made and all of that. So this is the extra facets that we at Homework try to integrate in our designs, basically to just show that behind the development, behind the fact that we are in the business of property development, which is basically to develop property and sale, but behind that there is a think tank involved, that there is an active thinking machinery behind every development that you have. And I say this not meaning to blow our trumpets, but we try our best. So our next development I'll talk about now will be Donville Apartments 2. Now we have a development that we just completed. It's on Orchid Road off just after the Chevron toll. It sits on 6,700 square meters. It's 32 terraces and 18 flats. The flats are fully completed and occupied. The terraces are about 80% occupied and 80% completed. And in the next 3 weeks to 1 month, it will be fully complete. However, it seemed like when the flats were fully completed, we were still having people that wanted to buy. So we have a phase 2 of the Donville Apartments. So this is on that same Lafiaji road. That same Orchid Road at Lafiaji, and it's okay. So we have 1 bed and 2 beds, and the 1 beds are on the lower level. The 2 beds are on the higher levels, and we have some 1 beds that are designed as lofts, where we have double volume spaces, as you can see in this 3D. We have a buyer who specifically likes this one and requested for 2 of this. And the next I'll talk about will be an upcoming development in Lekki phase 1. We call it the Curve. So it's made of it's all 2 beds, but 2 beds with a variety in design. So we have 2-bed flats and 2-bed maisonettes. The maisonette, obviously, as I'm sure most of us are aware, it's like a flat that has a lower level and a higher level. So what we try to do is we try to have a very contemporary design. There's a rooftop terrace and a rooftop bar. There's a gym at the rooftop too. So ground floor is parking and 2 flats. First floor 2 flats, then second and third floor are the maisonettes. And this is designed to cater to people who first of all seek who have an investment appetite for low capacity units in Lekki phase 1. This is in the heart of Lekki phase 1. It's how do I put it? It's just off Admiralty before you get to the bridge. So it's very, very location wise. I think it's perfect, and design wise too. I think it's as close to perfection as can be. Then this is one of our commercial developments coming up. We call it Malvi Mall. It features about 900 square meters of retail space. It's coming up on Admiralty, directly on Admiralty. It spans 5 floors. So the total space is all carved up, come up to about 32 modules. But of course, we have some subscribers. Like we have someone now who has paid for an entire floor, and he intends to just merge everything and have a big open plan space with section in the middle. What we intend to do with this design is we intend to change the skyline of Lekki phase 1, particularly on Admiralty Way. So the architecture is intended to be bold and provocative, but at the same time extremely modern. So this is one of the approaches of the Malvi Mall on Admiralty Lekki 1. Then the last I'll talk about is at Bera Estate. So now it's 10 2-bed apartments running on 3 floors. So two on the ground floor, 2 parking on the ground floor, then first floor 4 units, second floor 4 units. They're actually luxury 2-bed apartments. I didn't want to make this presentation for run too long, or I would have shown all the plans. But they are luxurious, and right now they're about 60% sold out, and we are at the foundation level, foundation slash first ground floor level. So okay, then these are some of the interiors. So with that, I've come to the end of this presentation. These are our contacts. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions or you seek clarifications on any of our developments. Now a lot of people come with 3Ds, and they show 3Ds, and the 3Ds look fancy, and a lot of times the interiors do not tally with the 3Ds. So what I have done as an extra is, if you permit me, I will just share sorry, excuse me, one of the interiors of one of our completed units. All right.
Hello, Chima.
Yes.
Okay, I thought you wanted to showcase one more before when you said
yes, but can you see that?
Well, yeah, I think we can see. Is it a video?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Can you see it?
No, we can't see the video. The video is not playing.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Hold on, please. Hold on. Sorry. Okay. So let me stop the share and restart the share. Please hold on.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Can you see now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So I'll start now.
All right, Chima. I think we've seen enough.
Okay. Incidentally, this with that we come.
That was the end.
Yes. Yes, it was. Okay.
Oh, thank you very much. I mean, this is a wonderful presentation.
My pleasure.
Indeed, you actually mentioned it as experiential. I was experiencing even the rooms and the beautiful architecture, and I see it as development as art, not just the well. It's a good thing that you've been able to put together a team of both architects, conceptualizers, people who actually can come up with some of this impressive idea. And I think we need a lot of these artistic, expressive buildings to not just to color up our skyline, but also to see exactly how architecture can play in the role of functionality, especially with the future of work and then the new age that we've just gotten into as necessitated by the digital revolution. And so I want to say a big thank you to Homework.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you very much.
All right, sir. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be taking a short video, and after that, we're going into our next panel session. And I know my panelists are definitely ready. Mr. Olawale Ayinlara, the MDC of Landway Investment, is in the house. And then Mr. Oladipo Akinton, MD, CEO of Drag Rock Real Estate. The very good gentleman who is the head of marketing and corporate communications of Alpha Meat Group, Olusesan Ogunyoye. We are going to be coming in to have this panel session immediately after this video. ladies and gentlemen.
This happens, you know, you're not the first person.
I just saw you are in the communication field, so you exactly know how some of this goes. But it's interesting to have you from AlphaMate. Yesterday and the Monday, we had your boss, the MD, Engineer Femi, who was very gracious with his time and committed to it. Apparently, you people are one of our sponsors. And as sponsors, you keep to your words because we know that it has to do with image. It has to do with integrity and credibility. I want to say a big thank you to you guys on behalf of Thinkmint and of course your boss as well. I just want to find out if Landway Investment is here. Is Mr. Wale here?
Landway Investment is here. My name is Adeshola Bello. I am representing Mr. Wale Ayelara. He had to run for an urgent meeting.
Adeshola Bello. I almost jumped out of my seat right now because I was hoping to hear a male voice. And when I heard the female voice, I asked myself, what exactly is going on? But it's a good thing to have you here representing the MD CEO. I'm very sure that due to some of the time management that we've had so far, as a result of technical issues here and there, perhaps he would have gone to, but it was very gracious of him to have nominated you to come down and represent it. Please, what's your title one more time?
ED, Business Development.
Oh, great. EDBD, which basically helps me as a matter of fact, because apparently I've just had 2 or 3 gentlemen that are supposed to be on ground here. But what I see now is that you have created a balance. Only you one amongst 2 men. That is quite impressive. So that is the power of a woman. I oftentimes tell people that women will definitely balance any equations that you find out as a matter of fact. Now, because of that, I'm going to obviously start off with you, Shola, because we're looking at the real estate development in Nigeria and the effect of COVID-19 pandemic, the demand and the supply side. Earlier on, we've looked at agility as a strategic approach in maximizing resources, especially when it has to do with the real estate engagements and projects. And then we've actually seen a wonderful presentation that actually has looked at integrating art functionality as well as design in order for us to be able to make sure that the customer and the environment definitely will work in alignment. Now we're looking at the aspect of the impact of COVID, the demand and supply. Certainly since for the past 5 months, even myself, I've not been able to work for a while because we're not going to the studio. We had to do everything we needed to do after a few period of time from the Zoom platform or online platform. So COVID itself impacted even in our own industry. As being a public relations consultant and a corporate master of ceremony, I would say that in my own view. However, for the real estate industry, we need to know exactly how are the real estate practitioners taking advantage of what are the benefits or the negatives as the case is. And I'm going to look at the area of shift in capital allocations, especially when it has to do with real estate. So as a result of the COVID-19, we've seen the shift in capital allocations to real estate. You want to share with us, especially with one of your brand that is well known in the industry, you want to share with us exactly how you guys have been using or responding to this particular incident.
Thank you for that question. So particularly with the real estate sector and COVID, what we find that has happened was that there's been a lot of demand within the sector when it comes to consumers. People are beginning to shift their investment to real estate because they find it to be more secure rather than, focusing on stock exchange and other markets. So there's been an increase of demand in the sector, but then vice versa, when you're talking about the developer, we have to also look at meeting those demands. So from construction to availability of land. So there's a lot of capital that is required to be able to meet the demands of the consumer. So within, looking at the market and the capital allocation, what we have to do is look at, accessibility of funding, looking at other resources that we can apply to ensuring that we have the right required capital to be able to meet the demands in construction and, like I said, and land acquisition. So some of the strategies that some people in the industry using is to look at their financials and look at ways to restructure their loans. Also look at other avenues to access funding. So not necessarily just looking at the bank as well, to get access to funding, but looking at other sectors. And then outside of the banking sector, you have other financial institutions that also looking at investments within the real estate sector. So looking at those in the tech finance industry as well. And then even people are also looking for sort of like a return on their investment. So you have platforms that are also putting forward real estate portfolio as an avenue to invest. So you don't necessarily have to have a house or land, but then you can buy into an asset that is real estate based, and you're able to, get returns on that. But for us, particularly at Landway, our focus has been, trying to meet the demand of our consumer and, trying to acquire more property, and then, also try to build within those estates to ensure that we meet the demand. So looking at how to get, supply of raw materials in, with the FX, we know what FX is saying right now. Challenges with raw materials and all of those things are things that we have to factor in because these are, realities that we have to deal with one way or the other. So that really has been our own perspective, is to ensure that regardless of the challenges that COVID has presented to us, we want to take advantage of, the resources that we have and try to adapt to ensure that we take advantage of all the demand that we have at the moment.
Thank you very much, Shola. That was put excellently, because whether we like it or not, we have to keep going on. I think it was a wise man who once said that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step, and then you must keep on going and walking. So we will have to overcome and defeat coronavirus, regardless of whatever negative impact it's brought about. And that your question basically will lead me to Dipo, because we also are looking at the real estate industry post COVID-19. And I would like to find out what your own thoughts are, especially with area of demand structurals, trends that we obviously impact this particular industry. So are we looking at trends that are going to be in the positives, especially with regards to the demand?
Okay, thank you, Stephen, and special thank you to Business Day and the Thinkmint group for organizing this event. Okay, looking at the demand and the supply trend for real estate in Nigeria post-COVID, it's critical for us to understand that the demand for real estate in Nigeria is largely driven by the population. Our population is growing very fast, and that's a very key element in the determinant of the demand structure. But at the same time, it's also affected by the capacity to buy. And so I'm going to look at it from two perspectives, from the residential perspective and the commercial perspective of real estate. But before then, let me also lay background to the fact that we should expect more of the deficit in housing at this period post-COVID, because some people have lost their job, the economic power is low on one side, so the gap of the deficit will still grow bigger. At the same time, the real estate portfolio is also growing bigger because a lot of funds are moving from other forms of investment into real estate, which was not a major focus before. So looking at it from a residential perspective, people will always still want to buy residential houses. Owning a home in Nigeria is more of a cultural thing. As people advance and grow and they gain more economic power, they want to own their own homes. And that will not change. So we are still going to have a level of increased demand in the residential houses. And on the residential houses now, there will also be a lot of focus increase in demand for smaller unit of housing. The last presentation, the developer was showcasing a lot of apartments and the 2 bedrooms and the 1 bedroom they are currently developing. So there's going to be more demand for that, especially because the real estate is attracting investors more at this time. Yeah. And they're looking at where to put the money, and people want to easily rent it out. And with the advent of the new millennium, their interest is just to get a little space, nice space, and live there. So there'll be a lot of demand for low houses, 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms, and the likes. But these houses, the demand will change a little bit because there are going to be preferences in respect of having some basic infrastructure. Because of the advent of work from home, many organizations will still work from home. So people are going to start looking at houses that have a fast speed internet, houses that have 24-hour power system, houses that have the large windows, and you can have good use of lighting during the day. Those will be the demand. Then also still on the residential aspect, I want to look at the fact that there will be a lot of increased demand in new developing areas. New developing areas where people can buy land and build their own houses to their taste and budget. New developing areas where infrastructures are provided. New developing areas that say have easy access to the main town and the main city. This will especially attract a lot of the Nigerians in diaspora, because there's a percentage of the foreign direct investment that come into Nigeria every day through real estate directly for Nigerians in the diaspora. And areas like this where package will be an attraction for them. Now going to the commercial space. I won't rule out the possibility of increased demand in office space and the likes. It may go there a little bit, but for the fact that we are going to experience organizations who want to grow their culture, they want to collaborate, and because of our basic infrastructure deficit in Nigeria, it may not be affected too much on the retail space for businesses. But there's an aspect which I also want us to look at as developers. The e-commerce industry is growing. It's going to affect the real estate in a positive way. Right now, people from their phone can make order and order for a lot of things and it's delivered to them. So there's going to be increase in demand for warehouses in a location that is easily accessible, where people can store their goods and can easily move it down from that point to the final demand. So these are the trends I see post-COVID in the demand structure for real estate. Thank you.
Sure, right. I see that. As a matter of fact, one of the points you raised up had to do with the issue of deficit. And that is rather scary because a lot of people have lost their jobs, as the case is. However, I'm going to be coming to you with a second question. But before then, let me reach out to Chesson. Chesson himself, I mean, you are overseeing the communication strategy of one of Nigeria's leading real estate brands, as the case is. I would like to find out from you, because I mean, we know COVID-19 has impacted on every single one of us, positively, negatively, depending on what side of the divide you belong to. My question basically would be, are there real estate products presently that are in high demand, even at this point that the COVID, has taken its own toll?
All right. Let me say a very big thank you to Thinkmint and the Business Day team for this opportunity to speak here today. Basically, I'll pick it up from where Dipo dropped it before I get to the fact that what are there specific real estate types of products that people are looking at today. First, we've all talked about it. Few weeks ago, the National Bureau of Statistics released a report that over 42%, or about 42% of Nigerians have lost their job due to COVID. 79% of that, have also of Nigerians, as the case is, have also, experienced one form of reduced earning or, pretty much the other. Also, we find out that a few weeks ago again, the same MBS released inflation rate in Nigeria, which is currently fluctuating between 12 and 13%. That's massive. And we have seen a lot of issues around devaluation, like Shola rightly said, of the Naira. We have also seen issues around the bank and a number of other things around interest rates, petrol price or fuel price increase, energy price increase. So what is happening is that there is the disposable income, in the pockets of real, customers have shrunk. And the thing is this: if you walk into a grocery store now and you just take a very, very quick survey of what is happening there, you will see that there is a gradual shift to second-tier brands. So if you used to buy a particular brand of soap before, you move to a second-tier, brand of soap and a number of other things. And that is also not something that we are not seeing in the real estate industry. That's the gloom part of it. But the gloom part of it is what Shola actually picked up. We spoke about all these things, inflation and a number of other things like that, which tells you that pretty much you are losing almost 13% of your savings that you put in a bank account or in a money market fund. Money market fund today is returning between 4% and 5%. So the only guaranteed asset class that seems to work in tandem with, inflation is actually real estate. So for us, working in this industry over time and, pivoting into development over the past 4 to 5 years, what I will say is the real demand now is accessibility. Now, there are issues around, what kind of house should I buy? A 2-bedroom flat? Should I buy a 3-bedroom flat? Either I'm buying for investment or I'm buying for. But at the end of the day, it is people that will still live in these homes, or we still live in these homes. So you'll find out that, it is not a function of the type of building. It is how the developer has created, some level of financial engineering that makes, stepping into the real estate ownership ladder very easy. I tell my team this a lot of time. I said, we all know that if you need to buy some kind of cars, maybe a 9 million naira will buy you a salon car. But you don't have that money saved somewhere. But if you have an opportunity to buy, the same car for 13 million, 14 million naira and pay over 5 years or 4 years, you are most likely, able to take it. So it is not about the fact that you want to buy a car. It is the fact that accessibility has been enabled by the car seller. And I think the same thing applies, to real estate at this point. There will always be demand for real estate, either from an investment perspective. Real estate, at the end of the day, is one of the basic needs of man. So there will always be demand for real estate. What we need to begin to check is what I usually call, ability to pay. All right. So willingness to pay, ability to pay is what is effective demand. And ability to pay today is a function of how accessible you have made, payment terms, you have made, stepping into the ladder. And pretty much that's what we have been trying to do, at AlphaMate. So you will see us going into still selling the same pretty much type of product or category of products in the market, but we have worked something around, accessibility. So it's not longer affordability, it is accessibility. And there's another side of it, because we are talking about demand and supply. So I'll quickly take it to the rental space. Because the truth of the matter is that with the current situation, even though everybody knows that real estate is the only asset class that help you edge against, risk of inflation and every other thing like that. The truth of the matter is that how many people can really pull out the kind of money that, we are asking for today. And it's not also the fault of developer. We can go into another, an entirely different, discussion about housing finance and a number of other things from the developer perspective. So even rentals, we have seen a lot of default in rentals. Trust me, from the high-end Ikoyi right to the downside, of Ajegune and Songo, there is a lot of default in the center because people are not able also to lay their hands on, cash. And we have also played in that space because we also see a lot of demand in, what you would call some form of rent for less. Where people can now begin to, pay their rent on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis. And there is massive demand, for that, because it's easier for me to plug in my monthly rent into my salary, just deduct it at the end
of the customer. That itself will even help in terms of actually even creating a constant flow of cash for the landlords or the developers or the owners. Because the one you have to look for rent for 2 million, 3 million at a go at the end of the year or the beginning of the year itself. Apparently, I guess that COVID-19's impact has registered that on our mind. But I'm going to be coming back to you, Sheson. I would like to ask Shola, certainly, what factors can be implemented in scalable supply strategies in reaching the consumers? I don't know if you have that question clear. I'll take that again. What factors can be implemented in providing scalable supply strategies in reaching the consumer? So apparently you are also speaking from the side of the developer or the home provider or the service provider. Over to you, Shola.
Okay, so I'll be speaking from the side of the developer. because that's what we do. In terms of, trying to, come up with strategies to be able to reach the consumer, I think the last person who spoke, about that, Mr. Shis also spoke about, accessibility to funding, which we find that that's like the most critical aspect of gaining access to consumers, because they need to be able to afford your products, whether it be in building or land, so that's a very big factor. And so what different developers have come to do is to do payment plans. So to break that, the amount to acquire property into payment plan over 12 months, 18 months. Ours goes as far as 24 months. And then also accessibility to, mortgage companies. So being able to liaise with, between the consumer and mortgage companies to provide that funding that they need. Because you rightly said that, the demand is not a question at the moment, but then it's now the ability for the consumer to be able to afford, the product, so that's one of the things that we've tried to do to bridge a gap, to ensure that we have a payment plan structure, and also to provide the avenue for people to buy with mortgage. And then the other, avenues as well that we know that different people are coming up with, you have the crowdfunding model, which we have also applied, where you're trying to invest into the real estate sector, but you don't necessarily have the bulk money to purchase maybe a 300 square meter land or maybe a home. So what you do is, you're able to come together with a group of friends or family members to be able to put your money together to acquire the property. So we call ours crowd ownership. So crowd ownership essentially gives you the opportunity to start investing now, because we're finding that, you also have to consider the time value of money. So if right now, a consumer or potential client has maybe say 5 million and saying, well, what can 5 million do for me? It can't buy me a 1-bedroom apartment. But then with 5 million buy you a 1-bedroom apartment in a year, even in 6 months. We know, he also mentioned what inflation, is at the moment. So thinking about time value of money and then encouraging people to invest now with the little they have, so that they don't fall outside that bracket eventually, because of inflation and other factors. So they're able to tie in a property with little or no amount. So you're starting from as little as buying 10 square meters, and you can increase your property over time. So your investment. So if you start with 10 square meters this month, you pay another 10, for another 10 square meters, and you start to accumulate that. And over time, you're able to build up to maybe half a plot or, a full plot. So giving people opportunity, because we find that it's only a certain class that can afford property in Lagos, if we're even just talking about Lagos. So if you're maybe looking at the middle class and the upper middle class, but then we want to reach out to people below that, and even young professionals as well. They are earning a monthly salary. What can they do with the little savings that they have to invest now, so that, over time they can build up their property portfolio? So that's a major factor. So that's when it comes to looking at the consumer's access to the, the supply. So in terms of land or in terms of, building. But then also as a developer, we also have the issue of, materials that you need to construct, your building, for those that are building, because there's been a lot of challenge with the borders closed, FX rates and all of those things, so having, a strategy that ensures that you have a flow, of the materials that you need when you need it, looking at avenues that you can even do what we're calling, backward reintegration, to ensure that even you are now start manufacturing when you need to ensure that you have the products and the materials that you need to build. So just looking across the board, but when it comes to consumer, I think financing and ability to be able to afford, investment in the real estate sector is like one of the major things that can affect supply. So that's the area that we have tried to tackle. But then in other area, looking from a developer's point of view, to ensure that you're able to actually deliver when people key into your estate or your product, you are also able to deliver at the time that you promise. So ensuring that the supply chain within that sector, you're able to deal with any issue that comes up. So that's our own strategy.
Well, that's a very good one. Those strategies, I'm very sure a lot of your competition, of course, these are some of the benefits of having forums of this nature. We get to understand exactly how you are thinking, but it's also for the good of the industry and then for the greater benefit of the consumer. But like I always say, it's a win-win scenario because the developer needs the consumer, and the consumer needs the developers. The fact that you've been able to create a situation or a scenario that has helped in terms of ease of payment. I think it was Session who actually made mention of that. It's not so much about accessibility alone, it's also about ability, the capability that for you to be able to say, okay, this is so much it entails, and this is so much I'm able to contribute towards that. So as long as we've been able to, create some kind of strategy that looks at a consistent way of ensuring that the flow is still consistent, that itself is a win-win scenario for me. And I'll say thank you so very much, Shola, for that from Landway. I'm going to ask Andikbo. Andikbo, I mean, you know that in this industry, every one of us who are on the side of the supply, especially when we are dealing as developers or wholesalers or retailers, we know certainly that COVID-19 is here. I don't want to be a prophet of doom, but it's going to be with us for quite a long time because, after the vaccine is being developed and implemented or deployed, you and I know that these issues are going to become another health matter, just as we have typhoid or we have HIV/AIDS and all of that. But for us as players in this industry, how best, in my own opinion, do we position ourselves in order to ensure that we are not negatively impacted, obviously, as from the demand side? Over to you, Dipo.
Okay, thank you so much, Stephen. And hello, can you hear me? Okay, yes.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And now we've been able to establish it that real estate is something that has come to stay. And it's an industry that we still find its way out of this situation. So in terms of positioning, I'd like to reiterate what one of the speakers said on the first day, Mr. Adeshoku Adeyinka, who happens to actually be my boss. I worked with him for over a decade, and I can give a kudos to him based on everything I know right now in the industry. And I started out 3 years ago. He said that real estate has always been a part of the meal on the table. Talking about the investment perspective, it's always been a part of the meal. But right now, we need to make it like a big pie on the table. How do I mean? So we all have various investment schemes. My organization, for example, during the COVID period, we had to create special investment scheme in real estate for people that have excess fund. And we created a means of investment without them buying a property, helping them put their money to use as a form of investment into real estate, into our projects, and they can get their returns. So many organizations have a private arrangement on this investment scheme. So I feel that for developers, we should engage more and see how we can strengthen the rates and have a lot of real estate investment trusts that is structured by SEC and regulated. That way we can access so much capital and be able to attract it and put it into our projects. That way we can also help us to be able to be more flexible. We all offer various flexible payment options. We offer payment options as much as 24 months, 36 months on some of our projects. But that may not be sufficient. It can be sufficient for some category of people that have some fixed income and the likes. But in providing housing for a bit of the lower income, no matter how low you bring it, it's still not very efficient for them to participate, except you broker some mortgages and the likes. But if we have a better way of funding or financing, we are able to offer more creative solutions. I've said that we should look into how we can attract more creative funding. Then number two, I will also say that we should also explore the use of technology. I like the earlier presentation that was done on how we can leverage on technology to manage our construction. If you can leverage on all of this, we can reduce wastage, we can be more efficient, we can actually plan. And I'll sum it up with the issue of agility that was discussed earlier on in the previous session. If we organize more of programs like this and we look at what the key issues are for us in the real estate industry, and the possible solutions, and we come up with action points that we can go ahead to engage every stakeholders, engage the government, engage the developer. Gradually, we can start solving this problem. We have the population, which is large, which is interesting, and which is growing. At the same time, the buyer power is limited. It's just a circle of people that keep buying over and over and over again. So it makes the investment aspect keep growing. But at the bottom line, a lot of people are still unable to access their property. Even when you offer some clear mortgage system, some people can't access it because they don't work in an organized setting where their income can be properly captured. And they may be able to afford it if they structure it, but because they are not under any corporate system that capture their income and regulate it, it's difficult for them to participate in some of these mortgages that are available. So to sum this up, I would say that we can position ourselves as developers if we look at our source of funding, we actually engage and be able to provide more of the rate structure through the SEC. Then number two, we leverage on technology and become agile. Then we can gradually position for post-COVID era. Thank you.
Pardon me. The beautiful thing with your position, it seems that we all seem to be aligning with so much of mindset, the way we are all discussing, especially with my panelists. The interesting thing for me, because I have a background in public relations as well as I have a background in engineering. For some people, might find that quite, quizzical. But as a corporate master of ceremony and a TV host, I host the NTA Business Matter TV series. I've come to have the privilege of having access to a lot of thought leadership. But one of the things that I find quite missing is the fact that a lot of times we seem not to have a roadmap that will certainly help any particular industry to measure progress. Because even if in project we have monitoring, we have those monitoring aspect of project management to see exactly how far we are going or what we are doing, yet we don't seem to have it as an industry-wide campaign. So thanking people like Thinkmint Nigeria for putting together this kind of forum for us to have an exchange of mind really definitely helps, because some of the thoughts you've just shared, yourself, Shola, and certainly Chesson, and my different speakers and panelists earlier on, helps me to understand that because COVID-19 is still going to be very much on ground, there is a need for an industry-wide kind of, will I call it conclave, in order to see how do we create a much more viral, much more dynamic industry for the next 4-5 years. So by 2025, where should the real estate industry be at after this COVID issue has impacted us? Anyway, saying that, and I'd like us to, because we'll still have a session where we'll obviously have a free flow and engage ourselves with some of these thoughts. And perhaps during that session, I might want to invite some other panelists who are still on ground to also join us with their insights and mind, because we want to maximize this moment. Anyway, I will first and foremost want to call on Chesson to actually respond to my last question before I go in for a general round of questions. And that is, how will the current growth in corporate outsourcing affect the real estate services? Chesson?
All right. I'm lucky to work at different levels, real estate development, facilities management, healthcare management, property management, and a number of other things. And, pretty much I have seen, things in different dimensions, from this perspective. I like to liken what is currently happening in the service industry, in real estate, to what happens to us in marketing, right? Immediately there is an issue. The first place you want to cut cost is the marketing. The same thing, for the facilities managers and the property managers at this time. Oh, you guys are just cost centers, and so on and so forth. And we've seen that the, arrival, or the outset or the outbreak of the pandemic caused definitely some panic. The lockdown wasn't really kind on businesses and a number of other things like that. So what you see is that, the initial session spoke about agile spaces. And what are we talking about when we're talking about agile space? It just means that, the pie is shrinking, all right? And because the pie is shrinking, the opportunities also in the service area, are also shrinking. But how do I think that corporate outsourcing, all right, is going to affect real estate services. So let us leave the gloom side. Let us move to the bloom side. Now, one thing that those who are looking at, corporate outsourcing of their real estate services needs to look at basically now, that is help them basically in 3 ways. The first is economy of scale. So everybody is shouting about cost, right? If you employ a facilities manager, you buy, diesel yourself, buy tissue papers yourself, and all the consumables and so on and so on and so forth. Now you can imagine if there is a company at the back end who have access to buy tissue paper, or on a massive scale and spread it across to all its sites or its location. Now, the first thing you are able to do that, you are able to achieve some economy of scale that is, lower than what you would have been spending if you are the only one. Second is the quality of service that you currently, take. Basically, a lot of, facilities management, property management companies have invested in solutions. They have invested in technology. They have invested in processes that they can deploy across, across sites, across locations to be able to deliver certain level of services to you. I don't know how many, estates, either residential, high-rise building, and so on and so forth today, who have invested in, prop tech applications that they can use to make requests, and requests come to them, quickly, and a number of other things like that. These are things that FM companies or, property management companies have invested in such a way that, the quality of service, you can sit down in your room and boom, you make requests, okay, my tap is leaking, and so on and so forth. So the real issue is that from the residential perspective, you have a lot of people working from home now. And like I said the other time, infrastructure, internet, power, water, sewage system, and a number of other things are becoming, stressed out because people are working from home. There are children at home. People need to get certain things done. So the way the, corporate outsourcing is going to affect services is that for me, if you put or you try to devise corporate outsourcing as a strategy, you will be able to benefit, from the economy of scale. So when you are looking at cost, in the real sense of it, you just need to calm down, like they say, the cost will really, really reduce over a period of time. Then when you are looking at quality of service, the cost, you'll also be able to get better quality of service. You have professional advice, because at the end of the day, if you look at a property, a property management company, before the facility managers, that is on site, you have several back-end opportunities that guy has. So the man you are seeing on site is not there alone. He has a lot. But if you employ a facility manager yourself for your estate, for example, all the guy has is his 8 years, 10 years, 15 years of experience to bring to the table. So that is one way that I think is going to, affect services going forward. And the same thing apply, to the offices, to our malls, recreational center, and a number of other things like that. So it's not doom. It is going to benefit, people who consider it. The biggest problem, and this is my final thought, the biggest problem around, outsourcing is that people want you to come and solve age-long problems, when you come there tomorrow. So we were spending 3 million naira monthly on diesel. Now, today that we have a facilities manager, our 3 million naira, must reduce. Forgetting that, the generator has not been serviced for the past 6 months. There are issues that are wrong with the generator. There are historical issues that the facility manager didn't bring on ground. So the facility manager comes and say, what, before we even start moving forward, let us first fix these historical problems. All right. And we can now begin to benefit, from the economy of scale. But you find out that clients say, even when I was running this thing myself, I was spending 3 million naira. Now that I've gotten a professional, I'm now spending 5 million naira. I'm now spending 6 million naira. No, just go. I will do this myself. So, clients and, people who do these things needs to have another perspective and another orientation about services. So the pandemic is not going to affect services. I think it's going to make services better if you design your strategy, very, very well. And you can see a lot of opportunities in the market, today that is already designed towards, the mood of the moment. Everybody knows that there's revenue crunch and a number of other things like that. So basically, it will affect, services. I think it's going to make them better because most of us, facilities managers and property managers, are beginning to redefine our process in the face of the reality of the moment. So I think that's my thought about services going forward during the pandemic.
Yeah, so I'm just going to hold you on for a while because the services aspect of it is something of interest. Because when you look at it, a lot of people have oftentimes argued what's the contribution of services to the country's GDP. And they've also made the claims that other countries, as a matter of fact, have been able to thrive on services, especially with outsourcing and outsourcing majorly, because outsourcing itself has become one of the strategic direction most companies are taking so that they can focus on their core ability or their core assets. And that itself makes a whole lot of sense. As a matter of fact, there is an association of outsourcing professionals. That one is one that we will need to be able to also explore, especially when we are dealing with outsourcing services in the real estate space. But if we're looking at part of the major concern, because COVID-19 has impacted, especially in most economies, so several economies in terms of an unemployment has risen to a level where, it was not predicted. So even the economic projections themselves definitely is not going to align with what they will expect, even beyond the major impact of coronavirus pandemic beyond this period. However, my own concern basically is this. If there is a situation where we are realizing that most people now are going to be in a survival mode, rather than them be able to explore other things that they will create in terms of luxury, and people, whether you want to believe it or not, a lot of people will imagine home ownership in Nigeria is more of a luxurious aspiration. Do we see that commercial real estates themselves are going to be the most badly hit because of COVID-19?
Well, very interesting question. But the truth of the matter is that we cannot take away the fact that, the entire real estate, industry is going to be affected or impacted negatively by real estate. We can try to preach, the bloom part of things, but it's definitely going to affect, things. So if you look at the commercial area, you look at the retail, you look at the office spaces, you look at the recreational centers. Everybody knows that, there had been, you also look at hospitality. The footfall in these areas over time has been reducing. Before even the pandemic broke, neighborhood stores were right at the jugulars of the malls and the retail centers. So before you walk, 10 meters, 100 meters from your home, you find a decent neighborhood store where you can push your trolley. So the footfall is affected. And also, if you look at today, like I said, with the issue of Naira devaluation and a number of other things like that, the footfall are reducing, the FX rate is going up, and most of these commercial spaces are priced in FX. So it's almost looking like I am earning in Naira and I'm paying back in FX. And you can see that, that is responsible for the level of vacancies that you are seeing, and we was, for some time until the economy bounces back, begin to experience in the commercial space. So there is no doubt that, that is really, really going to be affecting, us. One of the strategies the commercial, particularly the retail folks were putting in place before the pandemic was making the retail centers, an movie. I can have, some very nice experience. It's a one-stop shop. I can do pretty much everything I need to do on a weekend. But reducing footfall, the issue of social distances, which is going to be with us for a while, are not going to push these things away suddenly. So if we are looking at the result of what is happening now and saying it is not that bad, what I tell people is that you need to look at the potential of what you would have been doing if things were not in this direction, because it's very easy for you to say, oh, I'm making this, I'm making that. So it is not really bad. But look at the potential of your business. If all these issues are not put in place, then you will have understand very clearly how huge the impact of the pandemic is. So for people. So the commercial space, it is really going to be eating really hard. The residential space is also not insulated. The truth of the matter is that people lost job. Are they going to pay their service charge or service charges? Are they going to pay their rent moving forward? So you will see some level of migration. And you can begin to see that in what is happening between Lekki Phase 1 and Ayaba, Bagada, and so on and so forth. You will see that there is a migration from those Lekki Phase 1 and a number of other things to the decently closer to central business district areas like Bagada, Yaba, Maryland, and a number of places where people still consider very decent places to live on the island. So these are things that are driven pretty much by the realities of people's pockets and the earning and the economy that is happening around. So yes, it's going to really impact. But for the bloom side of it is that it is either you innovate or die. And you were talking about sharing strategy the other time. The truth of the matter is that pretty much we need to keep iterating, and platforms like this are the best places to find and to develop new ideas and to grow ideas. So it is not a big deal that people are sharing strategies. At the end of the day, that's the whole essence of a platform like this, of what they are doing. So the market at this point, it's about creating products. And when I mean product, I don't mean tangible product. I mean solutions. So for the commercial guys, what is the facility managers, or the property manager, what are you creating to meet their demand? For the recreational hospitality guys, what are you creating to meet their demand? For the residential guys, what kind of solutions are you creating to meet their demand? So for me, accessibility, affordability are two key things that needs to play in this area. And with that, you don't also need to cut down on the level of benefit or quality that people need to benefit from at the end of the day. And the final thought is that when you are looking at quality, when you are building product, one thing you need to look at is what exactly do people want to buy? I tell people this a lot of time. We build real estate, we build high-rises and a number of other things like that. But hey, businesses are looking for agile spaces. They are looking for workstations. They are looking for places where they don't have to bother about the headache of, facilities managers, generators. They just want to go in, plug in, play, move. All right, I use it, I pay as you go. Those are solutions that are being created. And I think these are the kind of thinking that the market at this point, requires. So it is either you keep innovating and iterating or, die. Thank you.
Yeah, so it's a good thing you actually had mentioned this, because I've always said that the real estate industry does not exist on its own. It does not exist in a vacuum. The real estate industry, as a matter of fact, is also a plug-in industry where other industries themselves basically get part of their own values in also trying to deliver whatever services they have to their own end users. Because real estate, as we might look at it, of course, you and I know is quite diversified. If you're looking at the value chain, you have real estate applicability both in residential, you have in commercial. Even within the commercial space, we have it differently, because if you look at banks need real estate in order for them to carry out their banking transactions. If you look at the oil and gas industry, the oil and gas industry needs real estate in order to carry out its own transactions. Even if you look at the space technology, it's also a form of real estate, because manufacturing themselves have to key themselves into all this. Why do I bring this up? We see what the digital age has brought about, where we're beginning to have conversation around what the future of work is going to entail. And then you've mentioned two key words here. One is agile. We need to be able to create agile spaces that will basically make sense, because as the sociological aspect of a lot of what we call civilization has to come to play. At the end of the day, a lot of us are beginning to see the way we react to the COVID-19 pandemic as more of a human expression rather than from a capitalistic approach to our own existence. So apparently, real estate professionals have to begin to factor all of this even in their own strategy and design at the end of the day, because the future of work is obviously here to stay, and things are definitely going to be redefined, along that line and along that thought pattern. And that is the beauty of actually having forums like this. And the second word you actually mentioned, perhaps I'll put that as a phrase, is accessibility and affordability. It's important that we look at the A+A, kind of equation in order for us to still be relevant in what we do as service providers. However, one of the things that I always know is this: for everything to thrive for things to thrive in any given estate, it's always collaboration that is going to be the key word to help us deliver to the end users at the end of the day. But there is no effective collaboration if the policy direction is working in an anathema position with that which the innovative display or innovative expressions of the players in a particular industry are engaged with. And that is going to lead me to Deepo to help us understand how important is real estate policy within this context of COVID-19 impact post, the pandemic.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Stephen. Am I on? Okay.
Yes, you are.
Policy is quite interesting that there's a lot of coordination going on right now in the real estate industry in Nigeria. And kudos to Lagos State for initiating a body to regulate real estate activities and businesses in Lagos. And real estate bodies are also coming up strongly. But in terms of the policies from the government itself, I want to put a focus more on policies and initiatives to help with social housing. Because the gap in the demand and the supply for real estate cannot be closed without the involvement of the government. Social housing itself will solve the accessibility for the low-income earners. No matter how much we come up with creative offerings with mortgages, it will never get to the low-income earners. It's only through social housing, which we can have the government playing a major leading role. We need to demand there have to be policies in line and initiatives directly to cater for that aspect. I would say that is one. Another policy that I would like that we expect to shape the real estate post-COVID is policies that can encourage private partnership between people that are interested in providing infrastructure. Because the major challenge we have in Nigeria, from my own perspective, is the infrastructural deficits. And this will also impacts largely on real estate. Look at Lagos, where many of us live and operate. It's difficult to get from one end to the other. And people say that in another 10 years, if things don't change, Lagos will be one of the most difficult places to live in, because you're going to just stop all around and you can't move, you can't run business. But infrastructure, we actually open up this place. Infrastructure will discongest some areas. Infrastructure will help developers to go into some other areas because there are infrastructure to connect people from town to settling areas and can make us more creative and solve this problem. So for the policy direction, policies that will encourage a lot of private initiative, especially investment into infrastructure solutions that will aid real estate, and policies and initiatives that will help to support social housing across every state. Those are some of the initiatives that I would like and I will expect from the government. Thank you.
Yeah, but Deepo, are social housing, are they profitable? Because social housing, we have to look at the bottom line nevertheless. Is that supposed to be it's supposed to be just in the purview of the government, or obviously the public-private partnership model has to suffice?
Okay, yeah, for the social housing I'm not talking about in respect of the private partnership model. The social housing, largely a major part of it will come from the government. That's why it's called social housing. It's not, I know right now from the federal government, the initiative, I was listening to the vice president not too long ago, and I was talking about the initiatives of where they want to build houses and where they are looking at a budget of 2.5 billion naira to build a mini house. Of course, it seems quite a little bit, I don't know how achievable it is, but initiatives like that are not taken. They are engaging developers, are not the big developers. They're going to ensure that the materials will be fabricated on site They're going to use totally local materials. But we want to now look at this with sustainability and quality. So if you take it a little bit up, it's achievable. But that's not going to be an initiative of a private person that is running a business. It can support it in its own, but it's going to be a major initiative from the government. Because if you really want to attack this issue of deficit from the extreme low income earners, we can never do anything much for them except to go into the social housing. So the private partnership arrangement I was talking about is more for the infrastructure. That's not a social enterprise. That is strictly business. But it's just engaging and helping governments provide infrastructure while they get their money back, either through toll or some other means.
Yeah, Diko, sorry, I'm going to still put you under the spotlight because I just got a question, and the question basically is asking, perhaps we need one or two clarification with regards to that. The housing deficit that we have in the country, who is majorly impacted? Because it's obviously more on the poor, will I say, poor earners than it is on people who are the middle class to the elite?
Okay, I would say it has more impact on the poor earners. It has more impact on the poor earners. For the middle class, because the middle class is also growing very fast. In fact, that's why some of us are still in business, because we have a growing middle class, that their earnings is growing as they also progress with their life and able to access some funds, access some mini mortgage, access some loan in the bank, and be able to do some of these things. But for the poor end, they don't have access to all of those things. Even some of them don't have access to basic infrastructure where they live, talk less of housing, good housing. So the deficit is much more at that end. And if you look at the statistics of people that buy, we have like a circle. There's a saying that about the premium class invests a percentage of their income into real estate. So the premium class gets it and they invest it back and they rent it out and they go. Some of them have a strategy to invest across different sectors of the real estate, across different based on their plan. Also, the money is just moving in a circle. So that's why I personally believe that to reach that low end income, they can't afford it. And no matter how much initiative you try to give to them, you still have to introduce a form of a social housing to solve it.
Okay, that makes a whole lot of sense. As a matter of fact, because it's obviously an ongoing, I call it more of a circular economy, where we have to be able to use with what we have to feed into the process to ensure that sustainability is actually upheld. But one of my major concerns, I'm going to go to Shola right now, because I think in a presentation, we had looked at some area in terms of payment by installment. And we also explored the aspect where we realized that you are creating different potpourri of payment structures that obviously will help out in terms to maintain liquidity. However, before the COVID-19 pandemic, I don't think we've actually had a very viral, a very dynamic, and I wouldn't want to use the word resourceful in order not to sound indictful of the mortgage sector, subsector as the case is. But in my own experience and my own research, we've not seen where the mortgage industry is comparable to what is obtainable in certain countries, in certain African countries, by the way. And I know in one of the panels that we had 2 days ago, one of the panelists actually made mention of that as a matter of fact, the mortgage industry in Kenya, if I recollect correctly, actually has a patronage level of over 70%. But in Nigeria, it's less than 30%. So how far can we go with this? If we've actually had this kind of below average mark before the COVID-19 has happened. What do you see the mortgage industry post COVID-19? Would this be a wake up call, or we'll just have to look at another decade before we get it right with the mortgage industry?
I think it's definitely a wake-up call, and it's been, because we've seen some interest even with mortgage companies approaching developers right now, to see how there can be some sort of synergy. So definitely there's been, maybe COVID, I would say, has been a catalyst, to see how people can benefit from it. And then there's been a lot more demand, because if we're looking at just our own client portfolio, in the last 6 months, we've had a lot of demand with people wanting to use mortgage to purchase properties. So obviously that is going to create an avenue for the mortgage company to see how more people can access, their services. one of the challenges that we've come to find out is mostly in documentation and the requirements that they expect from the potential home buyer or or investor. So some of those mortgage companies are now looking at flexibility, having conversations with developers, because some, I think in the past, what they require is that they have to see the building standing, before they can, do a mortgage plan for that for a client. But now they're looking at, developers are doing off plan, because the challenges with that is that a lot of buyers they'll key in, at the infant stage of the development, and they're able to pay over time, like mentioned, 12 months, 18 months, and 24 months. But then if a mortgage company is demanding that they want to see a building, a fully completed building, it's, definitely will limit the options for people who are looking to buy off plan. So now they're looking at, actually keying into and working with developers that do off plan, but then just working with the developers portfolio and ensuring that the brand, will deliver. Because part of the issue is also, okay, if we release the money to you, what would happen? Would you deliver when you say you're going to deliver? So there's still that trust factor as well. But I think they're more receptive to working with different developers now to see how they can synergize their efforts and ensure that they meet the demand of the consumer, who are the people that, really looking to take advantage of the services that they provide. So I think really COVID has definitely created that avenue for, to look at more options and more strategies to serve the consumer.
Well, I'm glad it's. I mean, you've actually even thrown more light with regards to that. Obviously, it looks like some of the practices we have as industry practitioners need to submit to the higher calling of digital engagement, which technology as well as social media has brought about, because people are becoming much more aware. So you do no longer buy houses in ignorance. Comparative prices and analysis can be done at the punch of a button. And so it's important that our key policy shapers or holders, and of course, trailblazers in this industry have to respond to a lot of these trends that would demand effective services at a cost that is not just affordable, but at a cost that will still not be detrimental to the business owner. Because at the end of the day, whether as developers, wholesalers, or retailers, we are in business to make money. We obviously we want to make money because it's out of those profits that we basically also patronize other services. And I'm hoping that Carol is still online, because I see she is. That if you are, Carol, can you kindly please unmute your audio, because I have a question I want to ask you, because it also deals with some of the issues we are looking in terms of the impact of post-COVID-19. And the question which actually came in here, which I strongly believe that is good for you to actually respond to, because people like Chesson have actually been making comments with regards to agile spaces. And of course, some of also our panelists are sent to say, okay, agility as it is, how different is that from project management? What exactly it has to do in terms of after how COVID has impacted on us negatively? How do I deal with the interest rate? And then you have inflation, decrease commercial real estate demand. Now, using agile, how can real estate company manage these changes while making profit? Because you see, even this person who sent me this question, perhaps may not be denying the fact that agile perhaps might have one of the saving grace for them. And then the key point there, the man ended up with, or the lady ended up with, is profit. How do we still make profit while adopting agile mindset? Over to you, Carol.
Okay, thank you, Stephen. I think from the point they've made is to say, how exactly do we ensure that Agile delivers value for us? So yes, there may be a decline in terms of demand for commercial real estate on a long lease perspective, but as I think Bolaji mentioned,
Okay, Carol, let's quickly go on a break. As soon as we come back, we'll continue with your comment. I think we're having the same challenges with our technical backbone in the country. Let's just go on a short break, and when we're back, Carol will continue. Oh, an ad break, one of our sponsors, not necessarily a short break. Carol, I see that you're back. You want to unmute yourself. Thank you, Dikwa. Thank you, Wale, and thank you, Sheson, for still keeping tune. We are just going to have to hold the fort till we get Carol back. Carol, you can unmute yourself and then continue with the thought you were actually sharing earlier on before we had some very on IDI happening that happened. Okay, can Carol hear me still?
Okay, yes, Stephen.
All right, welcome back. Sorry about
Thank
that.
you. Yeah, these are part of the issues we're talking about. All right. So as I was saying, you know, it is important that there has to be a mix. So there will definitely be companies that will be looking at commercial investments for long leases. Those will still remain, but on the flip side, you have to be more flexible in the options that are available, and look for options that help to reduce costs for the business operations, and also at the same time increase value for customers as well. So I think what consumers will want a bit more now is flexibility. Some may opt for short-term leases. You need to be able to provide that, you know, for them. And by so doing, you are able to reduce the cost of the operating cost of the business itself, and also provide what the consumer needs at that point in time. He also talked about modular spaces as well, which is a very important point. We have to design these spaces in such a way that it's easy to manipulate them and make them easier for use. And you can shrink them or scale them up or bring it down, as needed by the customer and by the client. I think having a diverse portfolio of these options, whether short or long-term lease, will help in driving down the operating cost of the business and still give the consumers the kind of flexibility that they need in terms of usage for commercial real estate or for residential real estate. Those are just my thoughts. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Carol. I think that itself helps, and I'm very sure the person who asked the question is very happy that you've actually helped to address that. So it's the issue of strategy and all that that will help us drive home a lot of this points. But please, I'm not still going to let you go because I understand you still have one more assignment to do for REDA 2020. Nevertheless, I think I'll just quickly want to ask Shola before she, I understand she has some other things to attend to, and that's the beauty of virtual conferences, isn't it? We can actually multitask severally, as the case is, from the comfort of our office or home office, depending from where we're operating. Shola, the question I have here is just this, and I'm just going to read that out as if I'm on television reading out the scripts, and this is how it goes. How can real estate stakeholders, developers, wholesalers, retailers adequately close the gap between demand and supply for effective gains of the real estate industry going forward? So this question for you is just a way for you to tell us that in terms of your own summarization. Over to you, Shola.
Okay. So, I mean, to really answer the question, to close the gap, I mean, there's so many different things that we have to look at, in order to be able to close the gap. And some of the things I've mentioned, and some of my colleagues here have also mentioned, but it's really has to do with, accessibility and affordability as well. So even for real estate developers, we also want to ensure that we're building, or we have products that people can afford. So we have to think about different strategies to ensure that that happens. So looking at even the supply and, the raw materials that we use in building, to even access to financing and creating more of a, an ease for, to close a transaction. So talking about, serving as a liaison between consumers and the mortgage company or other, financial sectors. I think those are ways that we have to try to bridge the gap. And then also looking at how, can the government come in to support, I think it was Mr. Chison that mentioned, or was it Mr. Dikwa? I'm not sure now, that mentioned infrastructure, in providing those resources that we readily need, to create an avenue for real estate developers to be able to, offer their products and their services, because infrastructure is a big part. So it's not only that, people are looking for the ability to land or to build it, but then the infrastructure, the road networks, electricity, water, those other things that, sort of work together to complement what we do. Would definitely help that, when we're talking about affordability, because those are the things that, make the cost of this real estate as a whole, go up, and then, it makes it, unaccessible to a certain class in the market. And we find that the people within the bracket that cannot afford, to purchase a property are way higher than those that can afford it. So we need to definitely look for avenues for more affordable housing. I mean, I think that would definitely bridge the gap between supply and demand. And then also, like I said, financing, and then, infrastructure, and more, favorable regulations when it comes to government regulations, and then working with the real estate sectors.
All right, thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much, Adeshola Bello, the Executive Director of Business Development for Landway Investment. It's interesting, you've actually helped us to wrap that thought in this regard. And I want to say thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It's a great honor. We look forward to having you again as God wills and gives us life and strength and energy and good health. The fact that we are all COVID-19 free is a major big plus. It's not even a death sentence, but I mean, these things happen. That sometimes you just don't want to carry certain crosses. You just allow it to go. Thank you very much, Shola.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Bye.
Yeah. I'm going to come to Sheson. Sheson, it's for me, part of the issues with regards to real estate has to do with real estate communication. Real estate communication post-COVID-19 is an aspect we need to see, because the more aware I am about certain things or certain availability of not just properties, but different options as well as services, and then financing and funds and gateways, the better for me to be able to make certain decisions. And those decisions will come from a place of being informed. If we know that a lot of one of the negative impact of COVID-19 has to do with cutting of budget, especially marketing communications or PR budget, we do not see it as a way where post-COVID-19 itself, as regards to real estate industry, will definitely not be able to take advantage of even the emerging trends that will come beyond this period. Should we see an advocacy or an appeal or recommendation for marketing communications or PR budget to actually take out more in terms of that strategic communication?
All right, thank you very much for that question. I think what is important is that, the way things are currently is just is interesting. Yes, we've had the situation where everybody considers, the marketing, department as the call center, or the communications department as the call center. But in a situation where you are struggling for the limited pie in the market, you also know that you need to be not just top of mind of your customer, you also need to be a brand that is trusted and loved by the customer, because people don't buy for people they don't know. That's very straightforward. So advocacy, I don't think so. I think what is important is that marketing communications people needs to start demonstrating value to business. And I say that because of the position that I see it. I work with a lot of, consultants, and, we hire people. And a lot of time when I see metrics that marketing communications people, set for themselves, I just smile, because it looks like the reality is not hitting down on us yet. If you need to make demands for a certain level of responsibility or budget that is very scarce, then you need to demonstrate the value that money is going to come back to the company. I think that is one thing that is missing. So long as you can, from a marketing communications perspective, demonstrate to your management or your client that you see this 1 million naira, 2 million naira that you're giving me is going to return XYZ over a period of time. I don't think anybody argues, with that. What I have seen, let me put it that way, is a lot of Markham people running away from that responsibility. Oh, I don't work in your sales department. I don't work in sales. So long as I bring in the lead, I've done my job. No, you've not done your job. All right. And it's one beautiful thing about working in Alphamate, for example, because everybody thinks like a business person. All right. So if I know that the sales guys will be the one, standing in the way of my next budget, I call the head of sales. Okay, what's up now? How is it coming? What's the issue? All right. Then we have a conversation, because my success is reliant on his success. If enough revenue is not coming into the company, there is no way that I can get, my next budget. It is as simple as straightforward as that. You see, it doesn't make sense. Yes, marketing is investment, but it doesn't make sense, if you are not very careful, even if the company decides to go get a loan or go get some kind of debt to fund marketing. How is it going to come back to the company? Equity. Hey, that's long term, man. We need to survive. I joke about this to my team. I say, you see, you need to be alive before you are using makeup. All right. Equity is, makeup, makeover. Yeah, everybody is beautiful. But you need to, have blood and water running in your system. And that is revenue. All right. Cash is king. So if you are not driving revenue from a marketing communications perspective, and you are looking at, building brand loyalty and a number of other things like that, I think you're going to have a very tough time, talking to people. So the new thinking that marketing communication people need to put on at this point is how to balance that. How do I build, loyalty, love, affection, trust for my brand, and ensure that, there is a translation of that into, the bottom line of the company. I think when people have that perspective, both from a communication, public relation, activation, advertising perspective, we will, have, a seat at the table. Marketing comes, people need to start thinking like business people. All right? Gig go. What goes in, what comes out. I think that is a position. So there is no need for advocacy. Don't appeal to anyone. Don't beg anyone. Just demonstrate value. I tell people, money always runs after value. So it is when you don't have value that you start running after money. All right. So demonstrate value. Money will follow you from a marketing communications perspective. I think that's one thing I would like, every marketing communication person, either you're in real estate or any other, industry. All right. Watching this to take home. So if your business strategy requires that you build brand love and a number of other things, by all means. But if you are in a cash crunch situation, hey, cash is king, right? You need to look at things from top line, revenue, middle line, cost. You need to talk to your engineers. You need to talk to your construction guys, all right? So don't begin to look at, I need low-cost housing. What's the engineer doing? How are they producing? All right, what's going into cost? Because if the cost is high, definitely your selling price is going to be high, and you have to put your eye on the bottom line, which is the profit. All right, selling price minus cost price equals to profit. So any marketing communications person that do not have those three things looking and just talking about I will build impressions for you, I will get you engagement. I think those eras or those era rather. Are no longer, with us with the current situation that we find ourselves. Thank you.
Yeah, Shoson, please pardon me, because the one word that you used there that still is something that I would like you to further expand on is the issue of trust. So the trust has been, it's like we find ourselves in a situation in this country where there is a trust deficit. A lot of businesses, even in terms of payment by installment, for different services or different housing assets, comes in with the issue of trust. How do you, if you are not well known enough, how much do you build trust? Will the trust basically just be focused on customer experience, or it has to be a case where one has to learn the balancing act with regards to this, because I can only trust the name that I know, and then of course further patronize that which I've actually had a good experience of. The trust deficit itself. Will it be a case of the chicken on the egg? Which one comes first in this regards? If it's not trust, then the money. If it's not the money, then the trust.
All right. Like I said, people just remember the last time you bought something. All right. You don't buy from a stranger. That's the truth. Just imagine somebody just buzzing on WhatsApp and say, I have this house, and you just see the logo. It doesn't even look like what you have seen before. You are on your heels. You just run away. All right. So trust is a very, very major issue, particularly in the real estate industry, and we cannot run away from that. And there is no other way to build trust. I tell people this, all right? Public relations, all right, as part of, the marketing communication, function is what I call do good, tell people about it. But first, you must do good, all right? Once you do good, then you can go and tell people about it. And you can begin to earn the trust of your customers by the time that they see that you are doing good, all right? So now the issue now applies, okay, I don't have a lot of money, all right? And how do I build trust to be able to get people to buy things from me? I tell people, set your objective. That's why the general SMART is there. What is realistic for you, all right? So what is realistic in terms of return, either in revenue or in trust and so on and so forth, is what you need to look at. You can try that strategy. The other strategy you can try is that, okay, know that I know I have something to deliver, all right? I will invest. And I tell people, this is how marketing communication, sorry, we are not in the...
No, it's okay, because you see, just a moment. The reason why, because of obviously this is also part of my own primary industry, and I know that it's not so much, okay, I will use the word advocacy. It's not so much of trying to favor the marketing communication or the communication strategy industry as the case is, but I know that it has to be a balancing act. And so the marketing communication experts and professionals who are listening into this have a very important task to still ensure that major of the communications have to take cognizance of the reality at hand, but at the same time that there is a need for them to be able to create a very agile environment whereby, just like you've mentioned, I have to get to sales, the head of sales, and ask the head of sales, listen, what has been the figure so far? Why has this not worked? What is the revenue stream so far? How do we work together to make things work out fine? I need to reach out to the engineering department so that we understand that some of these marketing communication strategies do not work in silos. They do not work, in a vacuum. It is all an integrated approach to it. So I'm very sure even the top C-level professionals listening to all of this conversation, we begin to understand and appreciate how important marketing communication is in helping us, bridge the gap, and at the same time ensuring that our communication strategy takes cognizance of what is going on in the world today, so that at the end of the day, still the bottom line itself is what we are looking at.
Yeah, fantastic. I think you've said it all. All right. For me, like I rightly said, marketing investment always goes this way. It starts high, no doubt, but over time, by the time you build that trust, you start seeing your investment go down, except maybe when you now launch a new product again and so on and so forth. So there needs to be that understanding, and marketing communications people need to be able to demonstrate that to their top management, to their clients, and a number of people, and say, see, this is how we are going to grow. So depending on what your strategy is, I'm going to be losing some money over the next 3 years, but I'm going to break even at this point, and it's going to peak at this point. Or you know what, I'm just going to start on a break even level, and I'm going to peak at this point. The marketing communications person needs to know their number. You must know what goes into your numbers. Forget about, I tell people, marketing is the fundamental 4 Ps. See, if you don't get that product right, and you don't get the, pricing right, forget about place and promotion. Forget about it, because you have not just delivered a product that the customers can buy. It is when you have those two things perfect, then you can now look at it, okay, where am I going to meet the people to sell this thing to? And how am I going to tell them about this good that I have done? So if you don't get these things right, you will just be pouring water on the duck's back. And that's why you see people come with what I call vanity metrics, such as, we hit 10,000 impressions. No, I'm not saying it is bad, but, we appeared in 10 newspapers and so on and so forth. Good for you. All right. But hey, how is that, impacting overall? All right. So it is not bad, but you must be able to take things beyond, if we are going to, take this space in a newspaper, it would have been costing us 500,000 naira, but with public relations, those days are over in the Marcom industry. Nobody listens to all those things again, because the reality of the moment is not there is no patience. All right. We are living with sweat and blood. So I beg, just keep the niceties of impressions and newspaper cutouts and nice billboards and so on and so forth. You must be able to be strategic. I think that's what is important.
All right, thank you very much, Sesan. I mean, I'm very sure all of the marketing professionals are looking at you and saying to themselves that, hope he understands that he's also in this industry. But there's nothing as good as truth, as well as naked truth, to help us to know the kinds of clothes we are supposed to put on at the end of the day, nevertheless. Because I know that Dikpo earlier when he was speaking in his presentation, because this particular panel is very key in helping us see how we're able to wrap up our past 2 days in a perspective that can help us now formulate better strategy or review the strategies that we've had before this time, and then see exactly how we can implement and measure. And so, Dikpo, please pardon me. I'm going to ask you this question also, because this has to also deal with the issue of mentorship. In your presentation, you've made us understand that you had worked with Mr. Adeshope, if I remember very well, and then you had left, this was like 3 years ago, or you were with him for that period of time. And he has taught you everything that you know. Now, we also know yesterday that Madam Uzo had made mention of certain factors that has to do with the human resources, the professional capacity that the real estate industry has. And knowing the fact that COVID-19 has even brought more negative impact, so to speak, in terms of where we stand with regards to human resources. How do you see the role that mentorship we obviously play in order for us to get our feet back into where we are supposed to be, and then perhaps also thrive beyond the survival mode?
Okay, thank you so much, Stephen, for that question. I worked with Mr. Adeshope for about 10 years plus. So I left like 3 years ago. So we started Grad Rock then. And so for me personally, I started with him as a young man. I'm saying young man though. It was an avenue to learn passion, to learn structure, process, to see a young man trying to do something very new and interesting, trying to get results and create platform for people, and the energy. And the industry, of course, taking shape at different levels. So I learned a lot about the industry, from the industry knowledge to business development, to sales, to construction. So starting out, it gave me a leverage, and because I've been a part of a team that raised millions for projects. I've been a part of a team that developed and launched a project, and I've seen the good side, the not so good side. I've seen where the gaps could be, and the like. So there was a background I was coming into with the industry with, and so in 3 years we were able to achieve some level of movement in our own space with our objective sets, in addition to some other additional trainings I did. So I personally am an apostle of mentorship. So I feel that mentorship is very critical for the growth and transformation of businesses in Nigeria. I believe that businesses in Nigeria will be a critical part to transforming and delivering the poverty situation of the country. We speak so much about the deficit and affordability. If people have good jobs, they make good money, they will want to live in good environments.
Absolutely.
If people improve and make progress in their space of work and business and make more money, they want to upgrade their environment. We have seen people that move from one location to another location to better location, even this post-COVID period. We have seen people that bought their own first homes during this period. And so if you have people that want to run business and successful business in Nigeria, it's good that they look out for people that have been successful, maybe in that industry, maybe in another industry, that they can submit themselves to mentorship, and they can learn from their own mistakes, even though you are still going to make your own mistakes, but it's like you have a ladder and a shoulder to ride upon. So it's very critical. A few weeks ago, I just hosted a webinar online to talk about how people can grow a sustainable business in Nigeria, and sharing my own little practical experience and knowledge in the past 3 years of running a business in Nigeria, despite my experience. So I know that people are able to pick one or two few points. So I feel that experience is very critical, and mentorship is also very critical in the transformation and growth of businesses in Nigeria. We have a lot of small businesses in Nigeria that can really grow bigger or can be more sustainable and be able to do so much more for the society, provide more jobs, employ more people, train more people to be able to go ahead and provide more jobs. And gradually, we are transforming the economy. Gradually, we are closing that gap of poverty. And in the real estate industry, yes, because it's an industry that is not too structured, it's a big structure, different players. Agility itself, I can see a lot of it in this industry. We have people that trying to run stuff, trying to make things happen, despite the fact that it's tough, despite that the capital is not there, the market is not there, and they're making headway. So I feel with much more better guidance, then it can be better and the growth can be much more spontaneous. Thank you.
I had to unmute myself so that I do not distract your talk flow. I want to say a big thank you very much, Mr. Ladipo Idowu Akida. Mentorship, as a matter of fact, has actually been a major aspect in terms of how much we want to be able to minimize the cost of learning. A lot of people oftentimes say experience is the best teacher, although some people may argue with that and say that mentorship is actually one of the best, not necessarily a shortcut, but a leapfrogging strategy for you to not learn by experience, which sometimes might not go the way you expect. And so we see how important it is, especially with this post-COVID-19 era, in closing and merging the gap, as the case is. And then it's so interesting because right now, I want to say a big thank you to yourself, Mr. Ladipo Idowu Agida, for being with us here. We still have one last item on our program for today before we wrap up the whole of the event. And then I also want to say a big thank you to Mr. Sheson Ogunyoye. 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 Sheson, thank you so very much for all of your insights and thought leadership. That has even helped us to be able to appreciate the fact that marketing communication needs to respond to the reality of the day in order for us to be able to ensure that we're working with every single unit in any organization to make sure we deliver value at the end of the day. Thank you so very much, gentlemen. We've wrapped up that panel. Now we're going into our award presentation. And I'm very much excited to say that we are going to be announcing 4 great awards this evening. And they are the Special Recognition Award for Innovation in Public Service, the Young Real Estate Person of the Year, and the Real Estate Man of the Year, as well as a Special Recognition Award for contributions to the growth of the real estate industry. And ladies and gentlemen, you and I know that this is how this whole thing happens. First and foremost, we are going to announce, for me, it is the Young Person, pardon me a moment, Young Real Estate Person of the Year Award, which recognizes the individual that has consistently contributed to the advancement of the Nigerian real estate industry through innovation, stakeholder engagement, and intellectual growth. The nominees are Tayo Odunsi, Jide Adekola, and Ruth Obi. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll be calling on Caro Aribiyi to please kindly help me announce who the recipient of this award, which is Young Real Estate Person of the Year.
All right, thank you, Stephen. So I'm very happy to be here and honored to be presenting this award to the winner of this prestigious award. The winner is Stephen. Let's do a drum roll.
Well, I don't know. You have the secret envelope. I don't have it.
Okay, so the winner is Tayo Odunsi, the CEO of Northcourt Real Estate.
Wonderful. I know that you're saying this. We're so excited that you've won. It's like Northcourt seems to be taking as many awards this time around. REDA 2020, all of this is based on merit. It is what it is. Thank you so very much, Carol, for this announcement, so that people do not think that I was the one who perhaps must have put something under the carpet. This is obviously the Young Real Estate Person of the Year, which goes to Mr. Tayo Odunsi. Congratulations, Tayo. Thank you very much. Carol, I think you've done a good job for me there. I'm going to be calling on our next award, which is the Special Recognition Award for contributions to the growth of the real estate industry. It's an award which celebrates the individual that has demonstrated immense professionalism and expertise are consistently raising the bar in the Nigerian real estate market. And to help me to deliver this award is no other person than Mr. Oladipo Idowu Agida, the MDCO Drag Rock Real Estate. Mr. Oladipo, over to you. Who is the winner of this year's award?
Okay, thank you so much, and it's such a great honor to present the award for special recognition for the contribution to the growth of the real estate industry in Nigeria. And this award is given to Mr. Bolaji Edu, the MDC of Pro Nigeria. Mr. Bolaji Edu, congratulations.
Whoa, congratulations, Mr. Bolaji Edu. This award goes to you. Is he in the house? Because I know you're steady. You know, it's not easy being a managing director. Oftentimes, you have to make certain key decisions. Congratulations, Mr. Bolaji, for being the recipient of the Special Recognition Award for contributions to the growth of the real estate industry. And certainly, this is going to be getting to you physically, though we are not having this on a real life situation. Congratulations, sir. Then I'm going to be calling on the... Okay, I have the next award, which is the Real Estate Man of the Year. The Real Estate Man of the Year is an award that celebrates the individual that has distinguished himself over the last 1 year, has been passionate over the growth and advancement of the Nigerian real estate industry through active project development, public sector engagement, and youth mentorship. Here we are talking about youth mentorship. And it gives me great delight to invite Mrs. Toke Benson Awoyinka, who is the special advisor to the Executive Governor of Lagos State on housing, to actually help me present this award. And the recipient happens to be who, madam?
Good afternoon. I'm pleased to announce Brigadier General Tunde Rees as the Real Estate Man of the Year, and I hereby present the award. And thank you for doing great things in the real estate industry. We're proud of you. We pray that you continue to do us proud in Lagos as a state where we lead real estate development in the country. Congratulations.
Oh, wow, congratulations, sir. This is the award, live and direct. This is such a beautiful thing. I know that he himself is excited. We are going to be presenting it to him live and direct. But for me, this is the biggest fish of today's event. And I'm so excited because I know that Lagos State government has been doing such a wonderful thing for us. And I hope that Carol is still very much on ground, because she's going to be announcing this particular award for me. Sometimes, you know, we started off with the women, you know, the coloration to all of these, because in real estate, we promote diversity. At this point in time, we are also certainly going to do this wonderful, wonderful honors. I just want to find out, is Carol still there, please? Carol, can I hear your voice? Hello, Carol, are you there? All right. Is Mr. Dipo there? Oladipo, you're there, Mr. Oladipo Idowu Adino?
Yes, please.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. You're going to be helping me to present this special recognition for innovation in public service. And this has been awarded to individual who has led the way in innovation in public sector, especially in the real estate sector. And then I would like to quickly just make this quick, brief comment. She is a legal practitioner that is grounded in different areas of law profession, ranging from insurance law, including underwriting policy risk and claims management. And she possesses expertise in litigation, probate, and land matters. She's, as a matter of fact, a graduate of the prestigious Lagos State University, where she graduated in the degree of law, and then afterwards was called into the bar in 1990. She's further challenged herself in forging partnerships with Benga, Afolabi, Benson and Co., Lennox and Blair Estates, and Washwife venturing into oil and gas law and consultancy. Having worked in different sectors, which includes, of course, the telecoms industry, she's also been a woman that has defined herself with this nature of vibrancy, with which she brings to everything that she does, especially when it has to do with what we know real estate is all about. She's armed with experience in policy-making implementation and was part of the team that crafted the development agenda for Western Nigeria and Dawn, that's 6 pillars of development for Western Nigerians, and fits into the peculiarity of the West as its own peculiar region. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great delight, Dipo, that the person who is receiving this award is no other person than the special advisor on housing to the executive governor of Lagos State. And that is Mrs. Adejoke Benson Awoyinka. Do you want to say a word to her before I bring our award to her?
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. And it's in the public. I was on a radio. Towards advancing this. With people like you in the public space, we are assured that gradually we are going to overcome this housing deficit problem, and we are going to help everyone that to be able to have a roof over their head. Thank you so much. On behalf of Business Day, Thinkmint, and REDA, we present you this award. Thank you.
Well, I know that this is a virtual award presentation, so it comes with its own unique frame. It comes with its own unique interest, you know. And I will be glad to call on the Thinkmint team. I know they are there with you physically. They are there, flesh and blood. I hope people are maintaining social distance, and then you've definitely sanitized your hands. But you don't need to wear face masks because I think our churches and mosques are now opening fulsomely, according to the announcement by the executive governor of Lagos State. So we are free, and we are glad that Lagos State has actually demonstrated leadership, especially when it has to do with emergency management. But I'm going to be handing over to you, madam, because you have some remarks and closing remarks to make for us. There's no better way to make sure that this event just wraps up in this way. Over to you, madam.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, Stephen, please. We're here to give her the award. So can we?
Yes, I'm aware. Yeah, so that is the reason why I was looking out for you. But apparently, it looks like that. Madam, is she doing social distancing at all? Okay, no more social distancing, so she's free.
She's trying. She's trying.
All right.
We checked her when she was coming in, so I think we are both safe.
Oh, that is great. Temperature is perfect, and every other thing is done well. So, I mean, on behalf of the Thinkmint, I know that Dipo has actually made the announcement. And then we wanted a situation where this had to be a unique aspect of our program. We are obviously presenting to her. So please, can we see that live and direct where you are doing the presentation, so that she knows that the award is not virtually alone, but you can feel it in concrete nature.
Thank you. I'd like to present this award. I think all protocols observed to Mrs. Toke Benson Awoyinka. Considering our innovative ideas for the Nigerian real estate market. Thank you, Ma.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Thinkmint. I appreciate this. I appreciate this, and I look forward to growing the industry, doing everything that we can. You know, Lagos leads, others follow. We have come up with this development for real estate. We are actually amending our laws now so that it can be all encompassing. We wanted to satisfy the norms of the day. Things are changing in the world, and we don't want to be lagging behind. We want Lagos to lead the way, and that's why we're doing everything that we're doing. I thank Business Day for this beautiful award. I thank you for this recognition, and I hope to continue to lead the way when it comes to the brain behind everything that we're doing in Lagos, and we hope to continue this partnership as long as we're here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, madam. I'm going to be asking the managing partner of who are the major organizers of this event in partnership with Business Day, that is Madam Imelda, to please give a wrap up, and then we might obviously be calling this a day after the 3 days being online. What to you, Imelda?
Okay, Stephen. Okay, Stephen, so we have to present the award to
the governor.
Oh, yes, please.
So she has to pick that up as well. Yeah, so that they know that the awards are very true as it is, and then it's not just only virtually. So, madam, you're actually wearing 2 caps, and I hope that your hands are not too full, because it looks like you're going to be carrying 2 wonderful trophies home today, ma. Not all for you, one for Oga and one for you, ma. Over to you, Milda.
Okay. Thank you. So, so I would do that through her device. On behalf of the board members of Thinkmint Nigeria, would like to present the award to the Executive Governor of Lagos State for his tremendous contributions to Lagos State.
Thank you very much. On behalf of the Governor of Lagos State, I hereby accept about real estate, having led in the state, and he's more committed to making sure that that housing deficit that we have in Lagos becomes a thing of the past. So on behalf of Mr. Governor, I accept this award. Thank you, Business Day. Thank you, Thinkmint. We would continue this partnership, and we hope to grow the real estate industry together. Thank you.
You're welcome, madam. Congratulations. I envy you at this point in time, because I mean your hands are full. All my hands are just full of pen and papers, you know. But I'm very sure that it's an award well deserving, and of course for yourself and the governor, because so much is going on in the real estate industry. And Lagos, like you rightly said, Lagos leads while others follows. And so with such leadership as embodied by the executive governor of Lagos State, it's also important that we also recognize the fact that he has a team of people who are so much more qualified as well to make sure they deliver on the promises and to take Lagos to the next level. Thank you very much, madam. Thank you. So I'll be calling on Imelda. Imelda, I'm very sure madam wouldn't mind, because now that we are there, let Lagos State obviously just wrap this up for us. And then just your concluding comments, and then we will call it a day.
Thank you very much. Imelda, we actually do appreciate your coming over here. We see that you're doing great things here, and we would partner with you any way we can. We're going to continue driving the narrative around the real estate industry. We're going to make sure that we grow this industry. We're going to make sure that we conform with global best practices to make sure that Lagos becomes an investment destination in Nigeria and in Africa. Right now, yes, we are doing what we're supposed to be doing, but we're going to be upping our game, and we're going to lead while others follow in Lagos. So thank you very much for what you're doing. And we hope to see you again next year.
Yes, next year.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ma. Thank you, everyone. It's been exciting 3 days of great content, great conversations. Thank you to all our partners, to all our speakers. Thank you to the Lagos State Government. Thank you, Ma, for REDA 2021. Thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you so very much. On behalf of Thinkmint Nigeria, the organizers of REDA 2020, and of course, in partnership with Business Day newspapers, name remains Stephen. Ipalibol Lawson. I'm so much excited about the fact that the real estate industry, with all of the thought leadership we've shared here today, definitely carries the beacon of hope. And then with Lagos State government, in partnership, we obviously will begin to create models and see exactly how some of the best practices we hear about in other developed clients will be implemented in our own different environments in order for us to be able to provide housing solutions that will meet everybody's needs. Thank you so much one more time, and God bless you. Please keep safe, keep maintaining social distance, keep using your sanitizer, and keep keeping healthy. Please do not pass the virus. Ensure that you keep safe. Bye-bye for now. Until we see you again, God bless you and keep you.
Thank you.